I'm Chris Duke, and this is Motorz. Welcome to Motorz. Today I'm going to show you how to upgrade the stock speakers on a budget on a 2005 Ford Explorer Sport Trac. Now we picked up two sets of these 6x8 coaxial speakers from Pioneer. Now the cool thing about this project and coaxial speakers in general is that you don't need any additional electronics like amplifiers or crossovers, and you can do it yourself very easily. Tools that you're going to need are some door panel removal tools right here. You can find a link at our website on where to get those. You're also going to need a couple of small sockets, a small extension, and a ratchet, as well as some wire strippers, some wire crimpers, and some butt connectors, and the wiring included with the speakers. Let's get started. To swap out the speakers in the front doors, you're going to need to get this whole door panel off. Now to do that, there's two bolts on the bottom of the door, there's two bolts that are right above this door handle right here, and you're going to need to pop off the switch panel with a small panel removal tool and disconnect those switches. Now to get the door off, there's 7 of these plastic tree clips that are behind the door. So use a larger panel removal tools because you're going to need to pry those off of there. They're kind of difficult and require a little bit of leverage. Once you've got all those tree clips popped off, just lift up on the door. Lift that handle out of the way. You're good to go. Well, you're going to need to use a 7/32 socket for those door panel bolts. What you're going to need for the stock speakers is a 1/4 inch socket. Now to get rid of this wiring harness, there's a tab on the back of it. Just press down on that. It slides right off. Now you're not going to need this wire harness for the new speakers. It's just not going to work. So go ahead and cut that off. Then you're going to need to strip the wire a little bit. That's where our butt connectors are going to come into play. Now take your butt connectors and crimp them onto the stock wiring. Now the tricky part to hooking up new speakers to your rise, you need to figure out the polarity. What that means, you need to figure out which is your negative wire and which is your positive. Now all 4 doors on this Explorer Sport Trac have different colored wires. So our Motorz tip of the day here is to figure out which of these is negative and which is positive. Use the little wiring harness that comes with the vehicle. There's a little tab here on the bottom. That wire that's closest to that tab is your negative. So in this case, it's the green and white. Now that we've figured out this one here is our negative, and this is the right front door speaker, we're going to take the provided wiring, and the one with the black stripe is our negative, so we're going to crimp that right into there like that. Next, connect the wires to the speaker. Positive and negative. I'm going to put it back into the door. With your new speaker installed, put your door panel back on. Make sure you pound all those tree clips back down into the door. Similar to the front door, the rear door also has a switch panel and 2 bolts above the door handle right here and 1 bolt down at the bottom. So start demolition on this one next. There he is. There's our negative one right there, one closest to the tab. And finally, the rear door panel goes back on. Now that was a pretty easy do-it-yourself project. Now this truck's got an aftermarket head unit, so if you've got one of those too, you might want to go into your settings and tweak your equalizer to make it sound even better. Well, that does it for this episode of Motorz. For more of our videos, head on over to www.motorz.tv and be sure to subscribe to our podcast on Apple iTunes and check us out on TiVo too. I'm Chris Duke.
Oh, you didn't tell me you were ready.
And this and this is Motorz.
Have you seen that guy? On a budget.
On a budget? Why? What's wrong with that?
I don't know, it just reminded me of the CNET guy.
The cool thing about these speakers is that they electronics like amplifiers or Croft. Now we picked up 2 sets of these 6x8 that they don't require any additional hardware. What the? Bye.